What's up agents, Epic Slayers here, welcome back to a brand new Division video. A Forbes article has recently surfaced titled, almost 2 years later, the Division might finally be perfect. Now, I did release a video some weeks ago, just before 1.8 come out, explaining why you should be playing the Division right now, and my intention was to do a follow-up video to that one when I come across this article, and I thought it'd be a good idea. I'll go over this article with you guys and just go over the pros and cons of why you should be playing the Division right now, as explained in this article. Hopefully you do enjoy this one. If you do, drop a like and let's do this. With the release of 1.8, the Division has gained good traction, good feedback, not just from the community, but from media outlets alike. And this is what Forbes had to say. The rumours are true. 2 years after launch, the Division has been refined into a version of itself that is about 30 times more interesting and engaging than what we saw at launch, when the end game was essentially non-existent. And the game is now about as close to perfect as it's going to get in its current form. Now, if you're a day one player and you dropped out of the game, I don't blame you, because when this game was released, it was a hot mess. Absolutely broken, but I will have to say that in the 2 years this game has been alive, the game right now that we've got is worlds apart from day one. And actually, this is probably one of the best RPGs on the market right now, just in terms of its diversity, how unique it is, and in terms of how much content there is in the game. If you're still sitting on the fence, jump off into the dark zone and join us, agents. To expand on the vast amounts of content in this game, Forbes go on to discuss all the activities that you can do in the game right now, from story missions to incursions to the dark zone to dedicated PvP modes to the rift-like underground to battle royale-like survival to high-value targets and to the wave-based resistance mode. They actually go on to say this: it's one of the best loot-based endgames I've seen at this point. So if you're concerned that the game just won't have enough content to satisfy your mind, then you definitely need to be playing this game, because you can carry out a different activity every single day of the week, so you are never ever bored. So one of the main attractions from day one for the Division is just how beautiful the world is that you spawn into. Now, if you are a day one player, you will probably remember that although the world was beautiful, there really wasn't that much to do, and that has changed a lot in the last 2 years. Forbes have this to say about the current world that you will be entering. The world also feels more alive generally than it did previously. Wandering around the map solo, I kept being tasked with random assignments that would also produce loot. Like one time I found myself in a 15-minute firefight just trying to take down one skill dampener in a building, furiously fighting my way through dozens of enemies to get there, which was a ton of fun. And that was just a randomly generated encounter free of every other structured game mode, and that is completely true. You get that a lot in the new West Side Pier. There is a lot more to do in the open world itself, and we still got those aesthetics that you got from day one. So if you're worried about the open world and what that has to offer, then this should reassure you that the world itself is alive well, and it is definitely going somewhere. So as excellent as the game has become in the last 2 years, Forbes went on to talk about some cons in the game that I feel are worth addressing. They went on to say this: returning now, I do feel a bit lost, like I barely know where to start, and I don't know if I'm going to return to build out full classified sets, or collect exotics, or add 20 points to my gear score. I do find the Division somewhat harder to pick up and play after a long break than I do Destiny or Diablo, but that's just personal preference, I suppose. I would like to say that if you're picking up any game that's been out for 2 years, you are going to kind of expect to grind quite a bit in order to get to the end game where 95% of the players are going to be, and that doesn't matter what game it is. Now, if you're a returning player to the Division, it will be very easy to get back into the flow of things, get all the gear you can, and get to that end game. Ultimately, the game is rewarding from level 0 to level 30 to the end game. It doesn't matter where you're playing it, it is rewarding. I would say for any new players, grinding from level 0 to level 30 is an absolute joy, one of probably the best experiences that you're ever going to come across for an RPG ever. I can promise you that. And then after that point, you get all of this content that we've explained in this video, and there's really just so much to do. So I would say that yes, you may feel a little bit lost, or certainly feel behind, but it doesn't take a long time to actually catch up if you're a returning player. And as a new player, it doesn't require that much grinding really to actually get into the game. Now, if you did want some help with that, then head on over to the Division Reddit. There's plenty of people who would love to help you got anyone out, and I would certainly recommend going over there, because it's a fantastic place to voice your opinion and get a response. Forbes went on to talk about how the health of the player base can cause problems when it comes to matchmaking in the Division right now. They went on to say this: While sometimes I was able to find matches for activities right away, the advanced age of the game combined with the fact that there are just so many activities to matchmake for means that I was often standing around for 5 to 15 minutes at a time to match for new activities like Resistance or old activities like Underground. Now, I'd be lying if I said to you that this statement wasn't somewhat true, and I say somewhat because I've never experienced this before, and it's very rare that you'll be waiting up to 15 minutes to matchmake for an activity, especially at the end game. Where it's more likely to happen is actually if you're a new player grinding from level 0 to 30 and then from World Tier 1 to World Tier 5, which is the end game World Tier, because 95% of the player base are already at the end game. Now, with that said, with 1.8 being released, a lot of new players actually join the game, so I'd expect that those times have been dramatically reduced, and when you do get to the end game, the chances are you'll be waiting anywhere from 0 to 3 minutes. So actually, I don't think this point is true whatsoever, at least from my experience. To end the article, Forbes went on to say the following: all this said, the Division has evolved like a xenomorph into the perfect paragon of what a looter-shooter should be. Loads of stuff to do and tons of loot worth grinding for. I may not return to the game for the long haul at this point, but if 1.8 has done anything, it's made me recommend the game without questions to those who haven't played it yet, and has gotten me extremely excited for a sequel. So there you go, guys. Hope you did enjoy the Division. Thank you very much for almost 300,000 views on why you should be returning to the Division right now video that I put out a couple of weeks ago. Absolutely blown my mind with the amount of support from that video, and I'm pretty sure that that video alone has encouraged a lot of people to come back to the Division, and I'm sure this video will too. Thanks for your support, and until the next one, Epic out.